Hello, my name is Phoebe Silos, and I will be discussing portrayals of aliens during the early 1950s. Around the dawn of the Cold War, movies and comics began portraying disastrous encounters with aliens. This picture is from a comic book from the year 1950. It portrays aliens who have come to Earth to attack its inhabitants. It is no coincidence that alien invasions became a popular topic of science fiction at the start of the Cold War. Many Americans believed insidious communists would attack America and that their country was on the brink of nuclear war. These fears were expressed through portrayals of aliens symbolic of communists invading Earth and changing society. Joseph McCarthy epitomized the rising fear of communism in America. On February 9th of 1950, he gave a speech reporting that 205 communists had infiltrated the U.S. State Department. McCarthy's speech reveals the belief that communists had infiltrated the country and could be a danger to society. This paranoia could be seen in several movies of the 1950s. I Married a Monster from Outer Space is a 1958 film about aliens who came to Earth to possess the bodies of humans. A woman realizes that her husband no longer shows affection towards her and discovers that her husband is actually an alien imposter. Sometimes the symbolism is only thinly veiled. Invaders from Mars, a movie from 1953, is about Martians who invade Earth to acquire nuclear plans. The Martians in the film are cold and deceitful, embodying American stereotypes of Soviet communists. The story is symbolic of the Rosenbergs, Soviet spies who gathered information for the Soviet nuclear weapons program. The 1952 film Red Planet Mars presents an obvious allegory to Cold War paranoia. In the film, scientists discover that Mars is a utopia fueled by nuclear power and could attack Earth. This film displays a hatred of Soviet communism as well as a dread of American internal weakness. In no decade were UFO sightings as prevalent as the 1950s. In 1952, when reports of UFOs appearing in the skies above the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., were convincingly backed up by mysterious radar communications, the CIA formed a panel to investigate flying saucers. Hollywood directors began incorporating flying saucers into their movies in the early 1950s as well. The first of these is the 1950 film The Flying Saucer, in which Soviet spies search Alaska in order to find information on reports of flying saucers. The movie again portrays the Soviets as the enemy. Journals also printed stories about flying saucers coming to attack Earth. This picture, the cover of a June 1950 journal, portrays a UFO flying over an idyllic American farm. This picture symbolizes the American fear that Soviets, in communism, would disrupt the American way of life. Movies and comics about these outer space invasions also depict the social and gender norms of the time period. Although the technologies such as UFOs seem to be advanced, social roles remain stagnant. Women were portrayed as vulnerable victims of alien invasions and were often depicted in the same helpless pose. In many movie posters, the woman is lying lifeless in the arms of an alien captor. This portrayal is consistent with the 1950s stereotype of a woman. One popular 1950s stereotype projected women as dependent on a man's protection for survival. The woman is merely waiting for the male hero of the film to rescue her from danger because it was thought that women could not help themselves. In each of these next images, the woman is shown in her male rescuer's arms or in a position reliant on him for protection. It was assumed that a woman needed a man to complete her. Men heroically saving a woman from an alien would be consistent with a 1950s conception of masculinity. Although Soviets were commonly portrayed as evil aliens, some filmmakers countered this stereotype by making movies with more liberal positions. The 1951 movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, told the story of an alien who came to Earth in peace to warn humans that they must get rid of nuclear weapons and avoid atomic warfare in order to survive. Another movie that took a more liberal stance was the 1953 film It Came from Outer Space. An alien spaceship crashes into Earth and the aliens must fix it so they can leave. The movie suggested that the presence of aliens was non-threatening because the aliens in the film did not come to Earth to harm humans. Around the end of the 1950s, obsession with UFOs and aliens began to give way to an interest in actual space travel. This change was partly caused by the Soviets' launch of the first successful artificial satellite, Sputnik 1. At this point, most science fiction works on outer space focused on winning the space race. Arthur Radebaugh's comic strip, Closer Than We Think, was launched in 1958, just after Sputnik 1 was sent into space. Although America lost the first space race battle to the Soviets, this comic promised Americans would win the war. Comics like this one promised Americans they would have impressive space stations in the near future. Another one of Radabaw's comics is a drawing of an outer space hospital. People in the late 1950s were so confident in America's ability to master space travel, they believed those suffering from various illnesses would be able to travel to outer space for the best treatment. The portrayal of aliens did not disappear after the 1950s, but it did change. The 1982 movie E.T. the Extraterrestrial initiated the friendly alien genre. In this movie, aliens were not portrayed as hostile or even neutral, but as friendly and capable of the same kind of empathy as humans. A contemporary movie about aliens is the 2014 film Guardians of the Galaxy. Although the film portrays aliens and humans working together, promoting a kind of diversity, the main hero of the film is still a human male. Although the movie promotes the concept of working with other groups of people, the hero is still similar to the stereotypical hero of the 1950s alien invasion film.